Hey everybody, what's going on? Slick the Gamer, Scott David Perry here, and welcome to another edition of Retro Chronicles, where we're taking a look at the history of WWF WWE video games. And this time we are still in the PlayStation Saturn era. We are in the year 1996, and it's time that the WWF went in your house. Now, the year before, they actually did have a hit with WrestleMania arcade game. It did very well. It was reviewed well, sold very well, became a greatest hits on PlayStation and for the newly launched Sega Saturn. To the point where Acclaim decided to ditch Midway for its sequel and go to their in-house production, Sculptured Software, and create a sequel to continue with the Mortal Kombat tradition. Released in October of 1996. This game featured 10 superstars, and just like the WWF at the time, was really a mixture of a lot of different things and really showed the transitional period that they were in. By the time this game had come out, WCW was running red hot. Hulk Hogan had turned heel. Diesel, the world champion from the previous year for the WWF, Diesel had jumped ship to WCW along with Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, and they were running rampant as the New World Order. In the WWF, Shawn Michaels was world champion. We saw a couple of returns from a couple of legends, and some new stars were getting a look at. And, for them to release this game, I'm going to be honest, it wasn't that good, and they really missed a lot of what made the arcade game special. But it is still interesting, and it has a lot of good quirks in it. So In Your House for the PlayStation came out in October of 1996, and like I said, it has a roster of 10 and has a very interesting roster as that. 3 returned from WrestleMania in the arcade game, and they are Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker. And the other 7 are really a good mixture of new stars who are making a video game debut and some stars returning from quite a few years. All right. Making their return are the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, making his return from Super WrestleMania back in 1992, but this time the Bulldog is a full-blown heel. His tag team partner at the time, Owen Hart, makes his return from Raw. I felt he should have been in WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. And also making his return, he had a brief return back in 1996, but here in this game we have the Ultimate Warrior making his return. And we have 4 superstars making their debut in a WWF video game. We have Ahmed Johnson, who at the time of this game just lost the Intercontinental Championship due to injury. The controversial Goldust, Dustin Rhodes had jumped over to WWF and helped launch this character, which was very, very controversial at the time, and one that I'm not sure holds up to this day. But it really shows how talented a performer Dustin was to pull this off. Goldust was extremely hated at the time of this release. One of their bigger gets of the year is here in the form of Vader, who formed a team with Bulldog and Owen, so you kind of have a stable in this game. But Vader, as he stated in the game, the man they call Vader, is here. And finally making his World Wrestling Federation WWE video game debut is somebody named Hunter Hurst Helmsley. Wonder what happened to him. No, we all know what happened to him. He's now running the show. As we know, Vince retired about a month ago, and Hunter is now taking charge. But at the very onset, he makes his video game debut in this game. Now, what's interesting is that Hunter, I believe, was a last-minute replacement because originally Jeff Jarrett was supposed to be in this game. There was some photos that were released showing the making of the game. One showed the superstars performing their moves and everything, for digitizing, and Jeff Jarrett was there. And because Jarrett had left and had jumped ship to WCW by the time this game came out, he was replaced with Helmsley. Now the gameplay is very similar to WrestleMania arcade game, and when I mean similar, if you play as Bret, Shawn, and Undertaker, you're going to be very familiar with them, and a lot of the moves are the same. There are some things I do like about it, but overall, the graphically, while it's digitized and it looks good, it does not hold up to the style of the arcade game at all. It looks a little clunky, it looks a little choppy. There are 3 modes. There's a season mode where you play as one guy and you go through the other 9. And an interesting touch, each superstar has their own house as an arena. Bret Hart has the Hart Family Dungeon. Shawn Michaels has the Heartbreak Hotel. Undertaker has the Funeral Parlor. So you see some familiar sets. Goldust is a Hollywood studio. Ahmed Johnson as a Jim. Owen Hart is interesting. Owen Hart, for some reason, became Gambit from X-Men because he's the King of Hearts. So they did a card-based team with him, which is interesting. And the Ultimate Warrior is in a desert for reasons I still don't friggin' know to this day. You know, but it was interesting. It was a chance to do something different. I think they tried to like, oh, well, the Mortal Kombat formula worked. Let's just take it to the next level. Big mistake. They should have at least kept it a little bit more grounded to what the WWF product was at the time. Now, the one area I would give this game a lot of praise is the presentation. The opening intro is great. You have full motion video of WWF at the time. Talking about in your house, you have the you know, the signature theme song, I think Thorn in Your Eye, the Slam Jam album coming in. You know, you really get a sense of what the game is going to be about. And then whatever mode you beat in the game as your wrestler, you get a nice little 15-second video highlighting that wrestler. It's kind of like your video game victory screen, and it's done pretty well. It also has the theme music, the actual theme music of each superstar to a T, which I do like. One other thing in the PlayStation version that I like a lot more that I didn't see in the Saturn. I don't have the Saturn version. I know the DOS versions, but I know that these don't have it. But the PlayStation version does have a sound test. And the commentary in this game, where as in the arcade game you had Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler, in this game you have Vince McMahon and Mr. Perfect. And there's actually a sound test where you can hear all the different sounds, you can play them out. So you can hear every single bit of commentary, every nuisance, every sound bite from the wrestlers themselves. Even, it's not in the game, and I don't know why, but you hear it in the sound test. You have Howard Finkel introducing everybody, saying that this person is a new Intercontinental Champion, new World Wrestling Federation Champion. It's not in the game, but it's for some reason it's in the sound bit. And you do hear the full renditions of the theme songs. Incredible that they put it in there, but you have this at a sound test, but you don't have it in the actual game, which tells me that they kind of tried to rush this to get this out there to kind of capitalize on everything. And as a result, it did not sell as well as the arcade game did. And it really put Acclaim under and really put WWF into a situation like, okay, what do we do now? And sadly, this was the last game that we saw for 2 years. You know, and, you know, at the time this game came out, WWF really started to come into its own. We started to see the identity that they were about to take shape. You know, and like I said, with the roster, you have 10, but there was one guy who in 1996 was really gaining ground, and it would have been really nice to have him in this game. I mean, they had time to put him in, but we don't see him, and that is Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, Steve Austin was in WWF. He was making his rise as Stone Cold, and it was really there that we started to see, you know, the shift in, you know, kind of a shift in terms of ratings and popularity. But that will be for another time. We will get to that later. Like I said, this will be the end of WWF for a couple of years. They really needed to reshape and figure it out. And when they do come back a couple of years later, they come back with a bang, and they come back with a lot of force. And we'll get to that next time. But before we do that, we're going to talk about some odds and ends that came out in the early 16, you know, 8-bit, 4-bit, and handheld eras. So until then, this is Slick D Gamer Scott W. Perry, signing off.